So let's just get started.
Okay.
I always begin with permission to pause. Just take a few moments. Let's just get here and release anything that's happened before and just be in this moment, in this time, and connect with each other. Big deep breath. Beautiful. I am so stinking excited about my guest today, Nikki Dority. I met Nikki probably 4 or 5 years ago, maybe more, when she was networking, when she was building out her business called Nurture here in Denver. And I had heard about Nikki before this time, and what an incredibly badass woman she was. And then when I met her, I just had this instant love for her. And we've been on a little journey, haven't we, Nikki? We've done a TED Talk together now. You are featured in my book, and I'm just so delighted that you said yes to being with me today on New You Network for Empowering Women.
I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Oh my gosh. So I want to just start with your story, Nikki. It's incredible, where you came from and where you are and what you do. And yeah, we have some nuggets to talk about, but let's just share with our guests a little bit about Dr. Nikki Dority. Boom.
Thank you, Christy. Well, I am currently here in Denver, Colorado. I have 2 kids and a husband and 3 pets. And I grew up in Massachusetts, back east, and grew up in an interesting household that we'll probably touch upon. A lot of love, but a lot of chaos. And yeah, how's that? And then from high school, I went to Miami for college, and I was commissioned after college into the Army. I did ROTC during college. And after my time in the military, I moved here to Colorado for my master's and doctorate and met my husband during that time and have been practicing physical therapy ever since, and becoming a mom and all the good stuff. But in the meantime, I also started my love affair with startup and entrepreneurism. And that's sort of been always next to me alongside the other stuff. So I've owned a women's retreat business. I owned a medical technology company that looked at biomechanics and movement impairments. And then most recently, about 6 years ago, a dear friend and then another friend and I started a business called Nurture here in Denver. And it's a wellness collective, and it's a pretty cool spot. And then I have a small PT practice right now. So yeah, I'm kind of getting my hands on a lot of stuff, but I'm trying always to find good balance.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, you're my 4th interview in this network for empowering women. And it just blows my mind that women that I know and that I have been touched by and that are in my field, just remarkable. And you certainly are one of them. There's so much in there that I want to pull on, like amazing. You were in the Army. You ran how many people? Like you were this.
My last job, Christy, was as a company commander, and I had a medical unit, so there were about 180 soldiers at any given time in that unit, in all medical arenas, i.e. doctors, medics, like the whole smorgasbord. And that was as a young, early 20-something, getting to do that and work alongside the best and brightest people I've ever had the opportunity to work with.
Did you ever serve, Nikki? Did you go abroad or serve?
I did not in conflict, Christy.
No.
Not in conflict. I was down in Honduras. I was in a Profis unit down in Honduras for a few months. But other than that, I was stateside the whole time, we weren't in conflict at the time. We were just after Desert Storm, so it was just the timing of things. I didn't have the opportunity, which is which is what it is, right?
How do you feel about that though, really? Like, did you join the army thinking that you might see conflict?
I mean, when I joined the Army, when I did ROTC, I was really attracted to the service component. I was really attracted to the camaraderie and the physical side standpoint. I've been kind of an athlete all my life. And I think I was so young that I didn't necessarily consider what service could look like. I think
Mm-hmm.
I thought in my head, I'm going to be in medical unit. So, I'm always going to support. I'm never going to have to like be directly in the throes of combat. But,
Mm-hmm.
you know, medical service corps officers, like, which was what I did, have the potential to be in any situation in the military,
Mm-hmm.
from, a hospital all the way to front lines as a combat support hospital. So once I learned that, it wasn't scary though, because at the time I loved it. I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely loved it. So it seemed like the right thing to do for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, impressive. And then obviously going on to get your doctorate degree and just finishing that through and starting your PT business and then nurture. Like, um, talk a little bit more about nurture because I just think that is a fascinating idea of co-working.
Chrissy, I think a lot of providers and clinicians have sort of had this idea over the years. I think Peter and Kelly and I just said yes. And essentially, it is a very large wellness center to
Mm-hmm.
a point. We have about 60 providers in the space from like in all disciplines, from massage to Reiki to functional medicine and beyond. We have 2 fitness studios, a full recovery space, a cafe that's amazing. It's called Nest. We run some events in retail. So it's kind of a whole self wellness center. So you can come, we call it home for the whole human.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have a membership arm of the business now where people come as members and they get specific benefits with the membership, including fitness and food and camaraderie and community events. So, yeah, we've like continued to evolve and pivot the business as time goes on.
Yeah,
We opened in COVID, Christy.
of course. Of course you did. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to talk more about nurture and put it in the show notes. And we'll talk at the end about how people can connect with you and learn more. But nurture is really a remarkable concept and idea. And I'm so proud of you for making that happen. Because as you said, a lot of people had that idea, but you were the one that manifested and created such a beautiful space. Unfortunately, there's only one, and it's in Denver for anybody that's listening outside of the Denver area. But yeah, it's just one of the other accomplishments that Nikki Dority has done. So, Nikki, we have to talk about your mania and what happened.
Yeah. So I don't even know how many years ago now, Christy, but I um I think I was in a pretty traumatic childhood. I think it's important to give a little backstory.
Of course.
Um, my parents were wonderful, but the setting I lived in was with another person that was pretty violent and really dysregulating. And so I think there was a familial mental health history, but I do think that I developed bipolar disorder to protect and save my life. I truly believe that had I not had that method or tool, I probably would have been dead,
Mm,
either by suicide or, and I don't say this lightly,
no, no.
um, or abuse. I just don't know. But the mania helped protect me really well. And for many, many years, as you can probably tell, like everybody just said, "Oh, that's Nikki," right? Like that's just Nikki. She runs 50 milers and she runs 2 businesses and blah, blah, blah. And I don't think a lot of people identified it with pathology, although in retrospect, I think a lot of us realized it was.
Mhm.
Um, but it helped me do what I did, right? So it's partially just part of my life journey, and I have gratitude for it in some ways. But about 5 years ago, I was away on a retreat. My business, we were trying to merge with another retreat company, and I had had like 5 major losses in like 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, 2 deaths. My mom got sick, was in the ICU, had surgery. Like all of these things happened just prior to the retreat. And I was a person that was such a pleaser back then that I didn't say, look, I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
Nevertheless, I went, and within 24 hours, I had a full psychotic break. And don't remember a lot of that time. Really only remember waking up in a hotel room in a puddle of tears, not knowing what happened, feeling like super guilty because I let people down, just the whole rigmarole. And
Mm-hmm. Of
just so much shame and fear, right, Christy? Like it's just, you
course.
end up in a situation
That's
like that and
scary.
you're
My
like,
gosh, how scary.
yeah, and sad. Like I would never, I have some sadness around hurting people I love, there,
Mhm.
but it was a mental health break. It wasn't intentional, as you
Right.
know. And I lost 3 good days of my life. I don't remember any of it. I remember like momentary snapshots, only a few. So
Mhm.
um, I had the break, and then, as I said, I kind of dropped back down and came to the planet, but really low, low, low below the planet, and
Mhm.
had a severe depression for like 7 days because of everything and the fallout. It was a mess.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you have
and
any
then,
support around that time?
I mean, my husband Mark was good. I wasn't in therapy at the time. I just didn't. I guess I was in so much denial around it. I had no idea. And you know, hindsight's 2020, right? Like I believe therapy is like something everyone should be able to have access to and do. It's so important. But I just I just was on this high of mania that I could take care of everything. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I came back, I have a good friend, Kara Shaw, who's a licensed clinical social worker, and I called her because she's always just been she's a trauma informed therapist, and I called her and I said, look, like this thing happened, I'm terrified, and she referred me to a therapist like that week.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke to Chris, and she didn't diagnose per se, but she was like, I think that you may have bipolar, and referred me to a psychiatrist, and we just kind of got the show on the road. But it was, it was a process. It was a multi-step process to get there, to get help.
Mm-hmm.
And that was scary.
Yeah. And, it sounds like you had a network of friends that were able to support you. A lot of times there aren't those resources and available, particularly, for some major mental health disorders. So
Hmm.
thank God you had some resources of people and, and the resources to be able to get the help that you needed.
Absolutely. That's like, I I hope for our system that people will eventually have full access to this care no
Mhm.
matter what, because I think it would really make such a difference from a
Yeah.
huge standpoint from our culture, our country. But yeah, I was very lucky. I actually also had a dear friend whose cousin was an entrepreneur similar to me, and he had been diagnosed with bipolar, which helped soften the blow because at the time that diagnosis sounded so scary to me.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right? You have these ideas in your head, and what we see in media and TV, all of it, you think of one thing and it's just not always that thing,
Right.
you
Right.
know? Yeah, big deal.
Big, big deal. And I have
Hmm.
to say to you, love, that I am so blown away. And I think I wrote this in the intro to the book when you share your story on the TED stage, that sitting and listening to you and really knowing as a social worker myself, the vulnerability it took for you to get on a TED stage and to share your story, and how empowering that is for people. There's people out there that need to hear your story, Nikki, because you have the strength to be able to do it and to tell it. And if one person hears some ounce of their experience in your story, that makes a huge amount of difference. So yeah, your vulnerability and your willingness to show up courageously and talk about, the diagnosis and the process that you go through with somebody with bipolar disorder.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Thank you. I mean,
yeah.
I do think that that's sort of my mission now, right? Is to help not normalize, but like have people see that it looks so different than people might expect. It doesn't mean it's easy. And I will say, like, at least every week, if not most days, I have to consider it in my actions or words or
Mhm,
whatever it is. Like I have to, it is a factor in my life always. Like,
mhm,
make sure you get enough sleep, take your meds. Ooh, if you feel elevated, you probably need to take some medicine and go to sleep. Oh, but you have patience. Oh, was I a little snappy? Like you will eventually start to make yourself a little bit, put yourself in a tizzy. So you have to be really moderate about everything you kind of do. And I think,
mhm.
for people that are listening, if somebody you love is suffering from a mental health disorder, um, grace for them, ensuring that reminding them that they need to have grace with themselves as well. And then learning as much as you can about the diagnosis so
Mhm.
it's not as scary, I think is really helpful. It's a
Yeah,
really big deal for
yeah.
family and friends, around. It's not easy.
No, it's not.
Mhm,
This is a difficult mental health challenge. Do you
mhm.
have other people or circles of support um, that you share? I'm just curious if there's a network out there for people with bipolar to connect.
It is so hard to find,
Mm,
to a point that I feel like I have a dear friend who runs a group of moms in recovery.
mhm,
And I think it's not the same thing, but it's likened enough that I think it's appropriate just to be around a cohort of people that understand how hard it can be no matter what it is. I think is
yeah,
valuable.
yeah.
I've attended different groups for bipolar disorder that I could find in Denver and in Colorado. Um, and unfortunately, my experience was very medication. It was very medication oriented about like, well, this med was making me feel this, and this was this. And that was like more of the intention behind the groups. That's sort of where the groups went in terms of definition.
Mhm,
I think
mhm.
it is very difficult to find a group to a point that I think I'm going to start something when life is a little more quiet because I do think there are so many people with bipolar who are next to you. People don't even realize what they're going
Exactly.
through.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
And we
big
need
deal.
each other, we need each other. Hey, babe, we got to take a break here. So we're just going to take a break and we'll be right back with Dr. Nikki Doherty. This is just my filler part here, Nikki. So they just play a little promo. And then we're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit about support. I want to finish that. And then
Mhm.
talk about this choice of moving through the hard stuff, being a
Okay,
mom, partner, friend.
great.
And then I'll ask you to give a gift, something that you feel like is really important for the listeners to know.
Okay.
And yeah, we'll go from there. We're doing great.
Okay, perfect.
All right, we are back with Dr. Nikki Doherty. Wow. Tell you, I am just percolating over the thoughts here. I'm a manifesting generator in human design, so I'm churning all the time and creating things. And the fact that you just said that you might start something in the way of a support group for bipolar people experiencing bipolar is it tingles inside of me, makes me just think how cool that could be. So let's stay in touch on that. And
Yes,
yeah, people are going to be listening to this and we're going to tell them how to be in touch with you. So if that is meant to happen, we know it will. We'll just put it in the flow, right?
absolutely. As another manifesting generator,
Yes, we are powerhouses, man.
we,
Man, just
we make
just
it
think
happen.
about it and create it. If you don't know what human design is, it's a whole another tool that if you haven't, you can go to humandesign.com, I think, and look at it. It's a pretty fun tool to learn about yourself more. So, all right, Nikki, let's talk about, you were just talking about, the difficulties, but you are you're running a business, you're a mom of two kids, you're a partner. like, let's talk about your experience of moving through these hard things, um, and learning healthy communication, how to relate. You talked a little bit about self-care earlier, slowing
Hmm.
down.
Hmm.
Yeah, just
I
share.
mean, yeah, I think it's for me, first and foremost, it's about prioritization. Um, One of the manifestations of my disease for me was like never saying no, and always explaining myself, always pleasing, because that could keep me elevated, because I could then maintain doing everything, and I didn't really even know that. So for me, saying no, I can't, and without a big explanation is really important. I think, open communication, like at first with my kids, it was very awkward. They were younger. So to try to explain it to them was really, I don't think I did a very good job at it. But over the years and with them having therapy, I think my husband and I have worked really hard to not normalize, but normalize it enough to say, like, look, like doing absolutely everything we can for me to stay well and be well, and that there may be some challenges along the way, bumps and bruises, but at the end, the intention is always to stay balanced and healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think with work, particularly, I have so much I want to do. As you know, I write, I teach, I do nurture part time, I treat, I own a PT business that I work kind of not that part time anymore. I'm just kind of I'm not busy, I'm an active human being. And I think the hardest thing for me, Christy, is differentiating between who I am truly, this manifesting generator,
Mm-hmm.
creator, who that is, and then my mania, and
Mm-hmm.
differentiating and figuring out when do I cross that line?
Mm-hmm.
I'd
That's
say
really
that's what,
interesting.
yeah, it's really tough. It's like something I have to reconcile a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think right
How do you
now,
wait? How do you reconcile that? Like, how do you pull that apart?
that's a good question. My amazing therapist, Jennifer.
Oh, good. Yes, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, good to
Yeah.
know.
I
Thanks,
mean, she
Jennifer.
helps me. She
Uh-huh.
helps me. And sometimes, I mean, I have really amazing friendships and relationships. So talk about like support. I'm very lucky. I've lost some friendships to people that couldn't handle bipolar, is what I've heard a few times. But
Uh-huh.
what that did was open up the door for like this amazing, group of people in my life,
Mm-hmm.
from my dearest friends of family all the way to people that I know in community who just get me. And
Uh-huh.
that that's a lot of value. And I mean, this about me, we're friends. Like I focus a lot on my kids right now and
Uh-huh.
really making sure it's a healthy and stable environment. That
Uh-huh.
is like my number one driver
Uh-huh.
and impetus at this stage in my healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Priorities, they used to say, you can do it all. And I just read this somewhere. It says you can do it all, just not all at the same time. Right. I think that's true. And raising kids and when they're young, that's got to be the priority. Um,
Hmm.
you got to put those kiddos first and make that happen. As somebody
Hmm.
that's now an empty nester, and I keep looking back, thinking, "Whew, how did I do that?" Right now, I'm on the other side of it, thinking, it was hard. It was really hard. Being a mom is not an easy thing. Being a partner is not an easy thing, and
No.
dealing with the mental health is not an easy thing. So a lot of complexity in your life, in all of our lives, right? But
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. I think one thing, Christy, that's interesting is sometimes this may resonate with people. Sometimes, and it's not any one person, but it's just there's a blanket of it that makes it a little difficult and complex. Is sometimes people will also write you off if you are emphatic about something, or the challenge sometimes is that the people will just be like, oh yeah, she's quote unquote being bipolar. I've had that experience a few times. That's really minimizing and really difficult, and I'm not saying that everybody has that experience, but I think sometimes when you're challenged, when you have this thing no matter what mental health challenge you may have or medical health issue. Sometimes people can minimize it in ways. And I empathize with people that are listening that sometimes does happen. And for me, I simply just see it for what it is, try not to attach to it, work through it verbally and emotionally, and then try to just drive on, because there are going to be people in the world that will do that and treat you that way. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not yours, and you
No,
didn't do anything wrong. It's their own fear. And I respect that. I respect that. I get that it must be scary for other people to hear
but
those words.
the thing that really, really pisses me off is how we label people, whether they're having a hard time, whether it's bipolar, whether it's alcoholism, whether it's
Yeah.
obesity. I mean, we just live in this society, in this place, in this world where we have to label people, and that frustrates me. And then we stigmatize it, right? Mental health is a stigmatized aspect of our society, and it just sucks that we can't loosen that. And in my work in Uproot, we talk a lot about resisting feeling things and how do we go around those things, the things that make us uncomfortable, right? We judge it, right? We
Mm-hmm.
do all sorts of stuff to go away from our own discomfort. So I love you saying that it really doesn't belong to you when people do that. And it still sucks. I mean, that's bullshit,
And
actually, in my opinion.
it totally, it does suck. I mean, I've had 3 friends who have said, you
You
know,
know,
I just can't deal with that. And I get it. It could be a trigger from their own lives, and you have to let those situations like go. Those people are being honest. At least they're being honest, right? But I think, like I've said in the TED talk, like I have a disease. I'm not my disease. It's
exactly.
exactly, I'm still me. And in fact, I would say I'm a way more better present whole me than I've ever been. Like it's a journey, but I think I'm so much more thoughtful about how I live and my relationships and understanding what people like also need. Like my daughter, she really needs and thrives on like really good stability. And
Uh-huh.
so trying to foster that at home and be so intentional, like it's made me a better person to know that I have this and
Uh-huh.
to work through it. I feel like I'm a much more complete individual
Uh-huh.
and always loving, but very different now.
Uh-huh. Right.
Very
Wow.
different.
Very, very profound. All
Hmm.
right, we got to wrap up. As much as I could just talk to you all day long.
Me too.
So I always love to ask my guests to share something with the audience that you feel like can help them, something something you want to share that helps them be more powerful and authentic in their lives. What's something you'd like to share with our audience?
I mean, I think a couple of the tenets have already kind of come through. I think first and foremost, if you're trying to please other people, you're not helping anyone.
Uh-huh.
You can't say yes to 3 things in one afternoon, which is something I used to try to do. Um, Honestly, like the people you love don't want that of you. They want you when it's available for you to be with them.
Right.
And I think pleasing can get the best of you. It can almost create situation where there can be white lies and just things where it starts to challenge your own integrity. So
Uh-huh.
I think really working on being like so true to your word and impeccable with it, and not trying to please and just being fully honest, like, hey, I
Uh-huh.
can't do that today. And as a clinician, and for some people that are listening, if you have like regular multiple meetings a day, it's hard with a diagnosis like this, because there are days that I simply have to take my medication and go to sleep.
Right.
And some people don't get that, but I would say you have to, I mean, I hate to say that, but you absolutely have to put your oxygen mask on and like listen to those little things, because they're
Yeah.
there to tell you, hey, this isn't going well, consider that. And if people aren't happy with the decision you had to make, that's okay too. That's okay too. You're not here to please everyone. You've got to stay well. You got to stay well.
I feel you on that. Man, we givers, our pleasers just are. I've had to learn that lesson myself the hard way, right? That just burning myself out, burning it at both ends, and really not serving anybody by doing that. So I love that nugget. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh gosh. So Nikki, I just really value you and your authenticity and who you are on the planet. I just think your courage and your ability to show up and just be you. Just be you. You're so beautiful and so amazing. And I'm so grateful that you show up. You really show up, babe. You are incredibly just.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. You mean a lot.
I can't even come up with the words of how much my heart just feels like it's exploding right now thinking about you and how awesome I think you are. So love you. Let's tell our listeners how they can find out more about you.
You can find out more about me at balanceptdenver.com or at Nikki_Dority on Instagram. Or
Nikki, spell that out.
KKI. Yep. And then you can also find us at Nurture. It's visitnurture.com online, and then at visitnurture on Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you. Please look up Nikki. Go to Nurture if you're in Denver. And if anybody wants to support a support group for people with bipolar disorder, let's make that happen. We'd love to manifest and generate that, right, Nikki?
Yeah, it would be amazing. Yeah, I'm in the midst of it right now, so that would be fabulous.
This is so good. I know our listeners are going to want to plug in. So on our next show, we have the amazing Sally Spencer Thomas, On our next show, we have the amazing Dr. Sally Spencer Thomas. She's going to be talking about suicide awareness and prevention. You do not want to miss her professional, unbelievable stories and totally fucking that one up. All right. On our next show, we have the incredible Dr. Sally Spencer Thomas. Dr. Thomas is an expert in suicide and suicide ideology, and she will be sharing her wisdom and resources with us on the next New You Network for Empowering Women podcast. Boom. All right, Nikki, would you mind just doing a quick promo for us? Like, hey, I'm going to be on New You with Christy Belz.
Absolutely.
Freeform it. Go whenever you're ready. Nikki. Where'd you go?
Okay, here I am. You hear me?
Yeah,
okay.
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, tell me what you want me to say?
You're just doing a promo for your show. So you'll be saying, I'm so excited to be on New You with Christy Belz. Okay. Just whatever. Yeah.
I'm so excited to be on the next episode of New You with my amazing friend, Christy Belz, talking about some of the challenges with mental health and how we aren't alone and we can all heal together.
Beautiful. I love you, my friend. Thank you for your patience today. We will.
Oh, yeah, I love you too.
Yeah. All right, sweetie. I'll see you soon. Okay.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.